The saying goes, the inmates are running the joint. Well, in this particular case at Rikers Island, that particular thing is happening literally. So let's go right into it from the New York Daily News. There's a staff shortage at Rikers Island that left 2 jail units without correctional officers for more than 24 hours on Tuesday and Wednesday. As one prisoner reported. And a city oversight board said that the ongoing personal problems factored in a wave of suicides in the jails since December. Who knew about that? So 2 Rikers units continuing on, known as 3 West and 3 North in the Otis Bantum Correctional Center, were without correction officers through at least noon Wednesday, leaving inmates in the strange position of helping other inmates get to their court transport and video conferences. This was all relayed by Terrance Ferguson, this hip hop artist known as 2 Millie. He said, "We're really running the dorm by ourselves. I've never seen anything like this." He's serving a 2-year sentence. He's serving a sentence for gun possession. He said Wednesday afternoon that there had been no officer on his floor since 6 a.m. Tuesday. "I've been answering the phones," is what he said. The Department of Correction officials, they declined to comment on whether or not parts of Rikers have gone unguarded for longer than 24 hours. I wonder why. But the department has acknowledged that a personnel shortage, which is blamed on a large number of sick or unavailable staff. That's the part that probably isn't very surprising about this whole situation. Just maybe the planning that goes forward for it, and also what they've done about it since. So let's get into more about some of this shortage in staffing. Correctional officers have said that in July, about 3,500 of Rikers' 8,500 officers either called in sick or medically exempt from working with detainees. Another 2,300 simply didn't come into work at some point during the month. And we talked about those, I mentioned those suicides that have been happening, which is one of the more devastating parts about this whole thing. When we saw some assisting from inmates with each other, suicides did happen. 5 suicides in 9 months, along with an alarming increase in attempted self-harm signals, a crisis for persons in custody and for the New York City Department of Correction, is what the board said. The board called on the city to move fast to improve conditions, noting that absent or unavailable staff has created, quote, unsafe conditions for Rikers employees and detainees. But the board didn't offer any proposals to address the issues. That's the part that really should be highlighted. We gotta do something. So lunch?
Yeah, so there's a couple of mysteries in this story. So at one point, roughly 35% of the correction officers were out sick or prevented from working with the jail population. That was at the end of July. So do they all get COVID? Is no one vaccinated among the correction officers? If that's the case, well, mandate vaccinations. You can't have 35% of your staff out. That's insane. And this is a government institution, so you can easily mandate vaccines. So I don't know what's happening, or is this like some sort of worker issue where they're just like, we're choosing not to come in? And I don't know, but either way, 35% of the staff of a prison being out is totally, utterly unacceptable. The second mystery to me was why all the suicides? And they made a good point. Khalif Browder committed suicide when he was after he was at Rikers for a couple of years. He hadn't even committed any crimes. They brought him in as a teenager. They just wouldn't give him a trial, and they put him in solitary confinement for most of that time. And that's where he began to have mental health issues. So if they're completely unattended to, if they're in solitary confinement, or with no guards around, some of the detainees are doing terrible crimes to the other prisoners, right? And then that creates mental health issues, and that leads to suicides. But all of this is insane. And I mean, I assume they don't have access to the gates, but I mean, it is a weird situation where you leave the prisoners in charge of the prison, and instead of breaking out, you're like, I guess somebody's got to answer the calls. So they start doing clerical work. Amazing. Brett.
Yeah, it's crazy. It kind of reeks of like blue flu to me, and people calling in because they just don't want to be there. And I understand why people would not want to be in prison, not just because it's prison, but because I just saw a stat that in 2020, like mid 2020, at least, I guess, or no, April 2021, at least 39% of people held in federal facilities are known to have been infected with COVID. So like, it's almost half the population has it. And they're around each other all day, and you got to go in there, and they're overcrowded. What was it? By year end of 2018, the prison custody population in 25 states exceeded the minimum number, the maximum number of people. So they're overcrowded. People have COVID there. You don't want to be there. The prison system in America is a giant nightmare / joke. And in that, if those are like the prevailing factors on the ground, then no wonder people don't want to be there. It is insane. And Rikers is gonna get shut down because it's such a poorly run prison. They have been delaying when it gets shut down because of a lot of issues, including COVID. The prison population's up almost 50% this year. The reason that de Blasio gives is because we tried to get people out of it last year, but this year we kind of gave up and brought people back in to a place that they need to close. And in terms of suicides, people at Rikers, it's been written that Rikers, there's a lot of suicides. People learn how to commit suicide there. There've been write-ups on that, and the prison guards and everybody call it manipulative gestures, so people can get out of solitary confinement, because that's one of the go-to moves at Rikers is just throw them in solitary. Because it is one of the worst places to be incarcerated.
Yeah, well, that's one way to get out of solitary confinement is to commit suicide. I don't think they're doing it on purpose. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.